Thank you, Amarnath. Thank you, Pete. Eduardo, I'm not going to back off my statement, but I will qualify it. It is the first in the nation of this size. So, does this make you happy? Okay. To close this session, the title says funding opportunity. As you know, the funding that we receive annually mainly from the Transportation System Research Program, or TSRP, go through a process of review every year by the research committee that you see the members here. And together with the PEER headquarters, we decide what should go into the request for proposal. And with feedback from several of you over the years, we thought and definitely with all these fantastic experimental facilities that you have heard about, we want to really make use of these facilities. So we have been thinking that we would like to direct a major part of next year funding towards experimental research. So over the years, not going too far, but starting say from 2016, we continue to fund the experimental research, and actually it's almost a steady state, roughly around 1/3 of the budget go to not 1/3, 2/3 of the budget used to go to the experimental research projects. But what happened, the number stayed more or less the same, but we started funding other projects as well. So it looked like the ratio went down, but actually the amount or the number of projects almost stayed the same that have experimental flavor in them. But because we funded other analytical and field work and so on, so it looked like this ratio diminished to about 1/5 of what we fund annually from the TSRP. So we already heard about all these fantastic experimental facilities. So in the next year, after we have further meetings in the research committee, we are thinking that to encourage proposals that will make use of these experimental facilities, for example, more shaking table tests, but to make this really happen, since we, as RP wishes, we are not seeing you writing any checks unless you will, which is great. But assuming our budgets stay the same, so in discussion with Arpid and Amarnath, they actually volunteered to give their time for free. That's what they suggested is, if we are going to get proposals that emphasize experimental research, let's say on our shaken table in Berkeley, we will, or the lab will offer time, which will include the use fee that you typically pay, the staff time, in the order of about 3 weeks per proposal. So that, if you want to put a dollar amount on it, will be something like $75K per project. If we add in how much you typically pay for the use of the facility, staff time, and so on, I cannot say that for the other experimental facilities. We can only do that for the Berkeley facility. We hope, we know that these big labs have a lot of requirements when it comes to budgets, but it's something to think about. If there are opportunities to leverage the TSRP funding, that we're still going to continue distributing the funding through the RFP process. If there is something that could be done in the other experimental facilities, and it could be given to those who will propose research ideas, that will be fantastic. We will start with Berkeley because we have some control over that, and clearly Amarnath and Arpit have plenty of time that they want to volunteer to do it, which is totally fine. But there is one thing I want to include and encourage you to do if you are going to propose this experimental research, which has to do with what Salim was talking about. And hopefully the research committee will see it this way. We really like continuing strongly what we have started in blind predictions. We want to do more of those. We think they have a great value. They help us to ground what we think computational models can do with reality testing. So if there are going to be proposals on experimental research, keep in mind to include really strong plan for blind predictions. So if that will be of high value, we will make sure to include that as a criteria in evaluating such proposals, in the sense that, of course, they have to be blind predictions that make sense. So to you first, and then to the reviewers who will look at these proposals. If you can use your contacts with those who operate these big expensive facilities and get some matching fund to use them, or also to convince them to donate some time on the table, that will also be, we have been using this mechanism in the past. When you have matching fund, we always view that favorably as reviewers of these proposals. So then we can stretch our dollars as much as we can. I think that's all. Yeah, that's pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you.